So in the last few weeks, I've had a lot of conversations about using AI to be able to create a lot more variations of ads that you can run and experiment with in specifically meta ads or display ad formats. And a lot of people are curious about it or talking about it. And I think there's some misconceptions about how it works, what it produces, and also what the outcome of is of that, and also the cost benefit and the actual, does it make a difference compared to having a strategist basically create the ads instead. So just going to record a quick little rant here to walk through some thoughts. So firstly, I'm just going to look at this brand. This is a brand I see everywhere. They have a really strong advertising presence all over the place and they're obviously testing a lot. You click order now, it goes immediately to a checkout page that is optimized for sale. They're basically a brand that is kind of imitating high-end Japanese knives and at a much lower price point. So if I go into their meta ad library, which for anyone who doesn't know is a place you can look at ads that companies are running, I can see a whole bunch of ads here. And I don't work in their ad department. I don't work at their agency. They're not our client, is what I mean. So I don't know this for sure, but these are, I think, the quintessential idea of what an AI generated ad looks like. And um, you can get more creative with this. There are some pretty amazing tools, like even in VO3, where you can generate very intentional video. But what most people are doing with ads, let's just put it this way: if you have to really intentionally think out exactly what you want and generate all the different clips and then edit it all together, that's just a very intentional, creative strategist process all over again. That's not necessarily just a rapid, super low labor solution to creating ads. It does take a lot of thoughtfulness and scripting. What most companies are doing, and I'm not saying that those don't have their benefits. You still don't have to go out and physically shoot something. It does take that out of the equation. But what companies are really, the reality of what AI ads are is there are software solutions out right now, and some people are figuring out their own workflows. But I've talked to a bunch of startups that already are literally selling this service. And here's the variable. Maybe I'll explain this first. Let's just show this. What they are is they're a collection of clips. AI basically generates a whole bunch of different scripts for you, and you upload a whole bunch of different footage, and it takes that footage, generates AI scripts, puts an AI voiceover over tons of different clips, and it creates mass scale of ads. So you have to give it guidance, give it footage, and you can use AI to generate some of that footage, and then AI will mix and match and create tons of variations. So here's an example of an AI ad.
Top 10 Amazon Home must-haves. Ergonomically designed for comfort and control, the Matsudo knife is a joy to use. The Matsudo knife is designed to cut through anything with ease.
With its razor-sharp universal blade, you'll effortlessly slice through meat, veggies, and more. It's perfect for every kitchen task. Creators tried to use traditional techniques of Japanese blacksmiths to combine the elegance of the past with the precision and efficiency.
That's one example.
Our knives got flagged instantly. We made a batch of knives that turned out too sharp. I'm serious. The inspection team came by, did all their little tests, and basically said, yeah, you can't sell these. They're way past the threshold. Apparently, the steel was tempered in a way the blade came out thinner and sharper than any standard allows. It performed like we had never seen before. And look, normally we should just pull the batch and start over. But these bad boys are hand-forged. You have no...
So those are some examples. And what these allow this company to do is to test at scale. So it's testing tons of ads. Probably a lot of these are, I haven't scrolled to the bottom, but probably a lot of these, just because I've been monitoring them, launched in only September. I think probably all of them. They're testing several hundred ads a month. So that is basically what a lot of these new AI software solutions to create ads are doing. And here's the nuance of that. Those software solutions aren't dirt cheap. They're actually quite expensive. I spoke to one that could produce, I think it was 2 ads a day, maybe 3, and it cost, I think, $10,000 a month, something around there. Might have been somewhere between 7 and 15,000 a month. So it really is a good solution for companies that are spending high levels on ad spend. it's not necessarily a simple solution for every small business or e-commerce store. The other variable there is that the hit rate is lower. You know, if you were to sit down and intentionally script out ads, and as your human touch, you notice, here's a hook that makes me feel something and it will make people feel something, and here's a body text that speaks about this in a way that I know everyone will understand. It's an insinuation. There's nothing that's unmistakable. Highlights the value propositions that I know people care about. And if you write it in a way that you know, and that's a skill on its own, right? But you'll have a higher hit rate. That's something we're seeing in all the accounts where we're experimenting with both of these options. So, and just to really zoom out on this for anyone who's not aware, with the bid strategy settings and the bidding becoming a little more automated in platforms like Meta, one of the best ways to achieve success is creative volume. You have to test, does this messaging work? Does that messaging work? Because the bid strategy knows, it learns who's buying and tries to show ads to more people like that. So there's this new concept that the creative is the target. So if you have a creative that speaks to older women and says, are you an older woman in seeking this or that? That creative starts to gain traction with those people. If you have a creative for younger women and it addresses, it doesn't have to say it directly, but it addresses the needs and the interests of younger women, that ad will start to gain traction with those people instead. So you need to have volume to learn which people will buy, what ads resonate, what messaging resonates, what pain points in your ads resonate, what value propositions resonate, what hooks. You need to test all of those things, and you can only test that through creating a high volume of ads. So either way, you need a high volume of ads. You usually need 20 to 50 ads to find a winning ad either way. Your ratio of hit rate usually goes down when you use more AI. So those are some nuances there. We're doing both. We're using AI with intentional scripts. So I think it's just something to keep in mind, is that there's a fine balance there. It's not necessarily a total cheat code, and you still need to have good ads. If you just have total crap that's a ChatGPT written script and it just has boring stock footage and it doesn't really speak well to people and promote why people might care about that product, it's not going to fix your problems. So just keep this in mind. As one thing becomes automated in ad platforms, so for example, as targeting becomes automated, buying people's attention through ads is a marketplace. So if bidding becomes automated, which has already happened in Meta, then obsessing over A/B tests and settings and ad creatives becomes what everyone's doing. And you have to be, if everyone else doesn't have to bid, then everyone else is going to be trying to find the next thing that sets them apart from their competition. So it doesn't eliminate work every time these new features come out. If AI were to start making the ads entirely on its own, which is something Zuckerberg has talked about, I think that'll be a challenging thing to really realistically assume that most businesses would use that. But in the long term, if that does happen, you're still going to need to stand out from your competition in some other way. So then marketers are going to just shift to the next thing they have control over, and everyone's going to be obsessing over that. Because at the end of the day, if everyone's doing the same thing, then you're still not standing out. And if you're not standing out, then your ROI isn't going up just because new AI features are available. Everyone's going to be using them. It's just changing the things that will set you apart. And then you have to up level your game in those things instead.